Listen to Tyler tell us about the breaking ODAM news and of baseball. I actually have a breaking one, but I'll save it after Tyler goes over his ODAM moments.
Oh, okay. MLB boys, we're entering the final week of the regular season. Next week we'll be predicting some playoff matchups going on, but for now, there's still a lot to be decided. But talking about last week, starting out on number 5, one of the most 2020 moments of all time. A man, whoever he was, wearing a Boston jersey, snuck into Fenway Park during a Red Sox-Yankees game in the 8th inning of Sunday's game. Pretty crazy moment. Delayed the game for 8 whole minutes while they were trying to escort the man outside the stadium. He was somehow able to climb onto the center field camera platform. Don't know how, but if you know anything about Fenway Park, right behind the left field wall over the Green Monster, it's a busy street. There's bars. It's always a party down there. So somehow he was able to climb up there and be part of the game for a little bit. He was throwing things. He was yelling and throwing stuff onto the field. Looked like a hat or some kind of football he threw on the field. If you haven't looked at the video yet, check it out. It's pretty interesting. Obviously, he eventually was escorted away by Fenway Park security. But a pretty interesting moment. Pretty 2020, if you ask me. Eric, I want to ask you a question. Since there's no fans at any sporting events really, unless you happen to get lucky and score one of those tickets for some of those football games or your backyard as part of the U.S. Open, what sporting event from 2020 would you most want to sneak into?
Yep, you already guessed it. Golf, the Masters in Augusta, Georgia this year. Well, it's every year it's in Georgia there, but that's where I would sneak into this year because I feel like golf now you're starting to see like minimal fans kind of around the course. It could be what you're saying, like their backyard is there or whatever, but yeah, that events are actually super fun to go to. You're day drinking the whole time. There's a bunch of hot women there as well. Like there's just a lot of pluses and positives out of it. You're out in the sun absorbing vitamins. So I would pick the Masters tournament this year.
Right on. All right, moving on to number 4. Justin Verlander, the Astros ace, has Tommy John surgery. So earlier this season, he sustained a forearm injury. He was working on rehabbing, hopefully to be back in time before the postseason began for the Astros. However, on Saturday, he threw a 75-pitch simulated game, and his symptoms worsened. They reevaluated it and decided it was best if he got Tommy John surgery. So we won't be seeing Verlander for a while. He's 37 years old. He won the Cy Young last year. For sure, a future Hall of Famer. One of the best pitchers of our generation. Trayden, a couple of questions I wanted to ask you about this news. One, how does it affect the Astros this season with their playoff run? And then 2, have we seen the last great season out of Justin Verlander?
Good questions. To answer number 1, they're already 27. 27 now. I think their championship window has kind of been shuttered. I don't think they can honestly believe that their chances at another title are possible without Justin Verlander, unless they're cheating. Even if they're cheating, I guess. Even if they're cheating, they're still not going to do it. They will have to stay strong to even make the playoffs still. Yeah, they're in it, but I think they're still going to have to make sure that they win games. They're not in it yet, They've dropped 12 of their last 18, and Verlander can't come and save the day like Superman. So I just don't see it. I just don't see that them being a threat. So I don't. To answer your second question, okay. After 48.8 thousand pitches in the season and 3,100 pitches in the postseason as a major, among many pitches that he otherwise threw in his life, it's kind of a miracle that he hasn't had this issue before. Verlander has a torn UCL, obviously. He's undergoing Tommy John surgery. Now, I didn't know that the Tommy John underwear company named themselves after a surgery, but that's kind of weird. Whatever. It is what it is. At the
no
risk,
free ads.
Now, yeah, true. Now, at the risk of being muted and booted by 3 athletic trainers on the Zoom call. According to WebMD, in the final phase of rehab, patients can take up to 4 to 5 months to even toss a ball without a windup, 6 months before an easy windup, 7 months before they can even take the mound, and 9 months before they're actually in competition. Back in the day, this was a season-ending injury, but now it seems like 85% of patients who undergo the surgery are able to come back and play at their same, if not better. I think it's tough to say. It really depends on his rehab. Projections will have him at the league average when he returns, and there are a couple of cases of where guys have managed to come back and be as good, if not better, than they were. But I think it's tough. I'm really hoping for a speedy recovery. He's got a spot on the Angels roster at 2021-2022 season, and the Angels will be world champions if that's the case.
Wow, I don't agree with that last one, but
I love it.
Yeah, usually Tommy John, you're looking at more than a year from the time you get the surgery to the time you're pitching back in the Major League Baseball game. It's a long process, but it is a proven process. And like as you mentioned, you see a lot of pitchers do come back from that. However, a lot of them get this earlier on in their career, or midway through their career. Verlander, 37 years old, is probably approaching the last 2, 3, maybe 4 years if he's lucky, being able to pitch Major League Baseball. So for me, it's the age I'm more worried about than the surgery itself. As you mentioned, all those pitches that he's thrown in his career so far. I don't think we'll see another Cy Young type of season of Verlander. I do think he will come back and still be a very solid pitcher because he's Justin Verlander. He's one of the best to ever do it. But yeah, I don't think we'll see another dominant type of Verlander season. And I agree. I think the Astros on pitching, other than Zach Greinke, really don't have a whole lot. And their offense has been somewhat consistent. They've had a lot of injuries. I don't see them going very far in the postseason this year. All right, moving on.
Clifton will love living in Anaheim, just saying.
All right, we'll see what happens.
We don't want them. We already got too many injuries.
Moving on to number 3. Josh Donaldson was ejected after hitting a home run. Pretty fucking crazy. Watch the video if you haven't yet. But here's the breakdown of what happened. During Thursday's game, Josh Donaldson, a member of the Minnesota Twins, were taking on the Chicago White Sox in a huge division deciding game matchup. Josh Donaldson hits a home run to give the Twins a 3-2 lead in the 6th inning. On the pitch prior to hitting that home run, Donaldson took a called strike that he felt was a little bit outside. Argued with the home plate umpire, but he was still able to be in the bat. Hits the home run. As he crosses home plate, he kicked dirt over the plate in front of umpire Dan Bellino. Dan Bellino decided to toss him after that. Donaldson went back to kick more dirt on the plate and have some choice words for Mr. Bellino. And the Twins ended up losing that game 4-3. So just to give you a couple of quotes from Josh Donaldson about the situation, when he was asked about how he handled it, this is what he said. He said, "I felt great about it. I think I nailed it, actually. I heard you had a lot of people texting you and saying they were embarrassed." He said, "Well, I'm not. This is my livelihood, and this is part of what makes me the player I am. And at the end of the day, if I have something on my chest, that's what it's going to be." And then he went on to say, "If the umpire consistently isn't doing his job correctly, that's affecting our careers. That's affecting our success. At the end of the day, there is no reprimand, no accountability for the guys that are making the decision. As a matter of fact, they don't care. They don't care at all. They just want to get the game over with for the most part, and it's pretty sad because guys are making 6 figures a year and there's no accountability." So pretty strong words from Josh Donaldson and pretty strong actions from Josh Donaldson involving Major League umpires. So obviously this was a huge matchup, Twins and White Sox at the top of the AL Central Division. Josh Donaldson, one of their best bats in that lineup, gets tossed for, pretty much kind of, being himself, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. James, do you like what Josh Donaldson did, or do you hate it?
I really hate what, but I kind of like it at the same time. And I'll tell you why in a second. First of all, like Josh Donaldson, man, like have some respect. Like these guys are doing, this is their living. That's your living. You mentioned that earlier. Have some respect for the guy. They've been doing this for a long time. They're human too. Like they make mistakes and it's okay. You also make mistakes. You don't hit the ball every single time. It's okay. You know, unless you're Joe West or Angel Hernandez, give them the benefit of the doubt. Missed calls happen often in every part of every game of every sport. Look at it, you see it in football. Like the Saints missed out because of a missed call against the Rams. In basketball, there's calls all the time that are missed. It happens. That's life. That's sports. Why you gotta treat him like shit, man? That's not nice. And I agree. Players should have a way to express their frustration, but he did that. He already argued with that umpire and the manager to come out and defuse the situation. He literally was just begging to be ejected when he came out there and threw dirt on home plate like that. What are you getting from this? You're hurting nobody but yourself and your team. They lost because of you. That's not okay, man. And it's like, if you think about it, it's like when you're like a kid, you know, and you're like asking your parents if you can get a video game for your Xbox, and your parents say no, and they give you reasons why, but then you come back as a kid and you're like, well, fine, well, I'm never playing Xbox again. And it's like, what did it accomplish? It accomplished nothing. It really just hurt you more than it hurt anybody else. And that's your fault. Grow up. But on the flip side of this, I also kind of like it because he brought up a good point. He could have said it in a different way and had gone about it a different way, but he brought up the accountability process. I think there really should be a way for the umpires to have accountability checks. I think the league should routinely check up on umps calls and look at their accuracy and maybe like lessen the games if they had made too many bad calls versus the league average. You know, if there's like a threshold, a percentage calls that need to get right, and if they dip under that, they get taken away. So the best umps get games, the umps get less games. I think they should be paid based on the amount of games that they call.
Yeah, it brings up an interesting point. I think one of the hardest things about calling balls and strikes is, yes, there is a, strike zone that's, at the player's chest, the player's knees, and then the edges of home plate. Of course, every umpire has a slightly different zone. Some guys, call it a little higher, a little more outside, but, so on and so forth. So it is a little subjective depending on the umpire, which makes it difficult for the players who are out there every single day and have to adjust to a different strike zone sometimes, night in and night out. So I understand the frustration completely. It also brings up the debate if whether, robot umps are coming, meaning there's, the strikeout zone you see on ESPN and stuff that's, on the screen. That's going to be, an umpire's going to be hooked into that. They'll get a, what the Astros do, basically. They'll get a buzz or whatever if it's a strike and nothing if it's a ball, and they'll just call it based on what the computer's telling them to do. Something like that in the future may be coming, maybe not. But it definitely brings up those kind of conversations. Very interesting. Personally, with what Donaldson did, I thought it was pretty funny overall, like just the general acts and what he said. It was interesting. However, just the timing of it, to me, I didn't like. He's one of the biggest bats in that lineup. You're trying to fight for that division crown right now with the White Sox. It's the last couple weeks of the season. I just feel like that could have been done at a different time, if at all. But yeah, James, I think you make some good points there. All right, moving on to number 2. Luke Voit is running away with the home run lead. Currently, as we sit here on Tuesday, with about 4 or 5 games remaining in the season, Luke Voit has 21 home runs. He and the Yankees have been hitting home runs like nobody's business the last couple weeks. That's the TLDR bump right there. Jose Abreu is in second with 19, so he's creeped up a little bit the last couple days. Marcell Ozuna and Jose Ramirez have 17, and we have 6 players tied with 16 home runs apiece. So in the last few remaining days, a 2 home run lead isn't guaranteed. But it's looking pretty good. Like Luke Voit might run away with this one. So I want to go around the horn here and ask you guys, do you think Luke Voit wins it? And if not, who does? Eric, I'll start with you.
No, I don't think he wins it because I'm pretty sure Mike Trout is one of those 6 dudes with 16. Well, actually, I saw a week ago that Trout was leading it, but he already isn't anymore. But I still don't think Voigt's gonna lead it. I don't think 2 is enough of a cushion.
So you think Trout's gonna hit 6 home runs in the last 5 games?
4 games, dude.
4 games, however many are left.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, if anyone could do it, it'd be Mike Trout, but we'll see what happens. Traden, what do you think?
Yes, I think he's gonna run away with it. I mean, I think it's just a little too far ahead with 2 little games. And like you said, they're hitting bombs. They're hitting dingers. Let's keep it up. Yeah, I think he's going to win it.
James, who do you got?
I might agree with Traden. I think Luke Voigt wins it. We talk about momentum a lot on this podcast, especially with hockey, and that's what you're seeing here with Luke Voigt. Last time we talked about the home run race, he wasn't even mentioned, but here he is winning it by 2 home runs. And I mean, Jose Abreu was right there the entire time, but this guy's Luke Voigt's coming up out of nowhere, and I think he's going to keep crushing it for the next couple games, and he's going to win.
Yeah, I think just with the momentum, with how he's been swinging the bat, Jose Abreu's been solid all season, like you just mentioned. So I think that might come down the wire. If Jose Abreu hits 2 more before Voigt hits another one, I think that could happen. I mean, it might go down to the last game of the season. That'd be super fun. Hopefully that happens. But I'm going to go with Luke Voigt taking the home run crown for 2020. All right, moving on to the final point. This is the most interesting thing to watch, I think, the last week of baseball, and that's the National League wildcard race. So the American League is looking pretty solid. It's more just about seeding. The only teams that have not clinched a spot in the American League are the Houston Astros and the Toronto Blue Jays, or the Angels. But it looks like they'll probably be clinching those probably in the next couple of days. It's going to be a long shot for either the Seattle Mariners or the Angels to actually, sneak in there with a wild card spot. So in the American League, it's looking more like seeding. Just a real quick rundown: 1 through 8. From 1 to 8, we go Tampa Bay Rays, Oakland A's, Chicago White Sox, Minnesota Twins, New York Yankees, Houston Astros, Cleveland Indians, Toronto Blue Jays. I can see that pretty much staying the same. So the American League looks pretty set for the most part. It's a completely different story in the National League. Total chaos. You got 6 teams vying for 4 spots left. It's going to come down to the last few games. It's just absolutely wild, and I love it. So the only teams that have clinched a playoff spot in the National League are the Dodgers, Braves, Cubs, and Padres. So that kind of comes down to these teams: St. Louis Cardinals, the Miami Marlins, the Cincinnati Reds, the Milwaukee Brewers, the San Francisco Giants, and the Philadelphia Phillies. And you can even throw the New York Mets in there if you would like. But really, I think it comes down to those first 6 teams I mentioned. It's going to be crazy. So really, with the Cardinals, Marlins, Reds, and Brewers, they have two slots to get either the second place in their division or a wild card spot. For the Giants, it's either wild card or bust. So they have to make that wild card spot. They're not going to, overtake the Padres or the Dodgers for one of those first 2 spots in the NL West. So currently, as we're sitting here on Tuesday, the standings from 1 to 8 are Dodgers, Braves, Cubs, Padres, Cardinals, Marlins, Reds, and Brewers. You got the Giants and the Phillies currently on the outside looking in, but they're only half a game back currently of those spots. So a crazy finish here at the end. I wanted you guys to take a look at the standings, take a look at the remaining games they have. Honestly, I think this is a crapshoot. It can go to anybody. I love how chaotic this is going to be, but I want everyone to give their predictions of who makes those final spots in that National League playoff picture. James, lead us off.
Hey, remember when you said the Miami Marlins were going to just be terrible this year and be the worst team in the league? Well, I think they take that second spot in the NL East after the Braves.
I'd take it.
And then hot take over here, I think the entire NL Central makes the playoffs. I think the Reds take the second spot, and I think the Cardinals and the Brewers will actually take that wild card spot. And it's going to be kind of crazy because for the last 5 games, they play each other. I think they're going to trade those games back to back to back to back, which would put them ahead of the Phillies, who I have kind of close there. But the Phillies play the Rays for the last couple of games, and the Rays are absolutely killing it. So I don't think the Phillies will win that one. But it'll be super weird to see the Cardinals and Brewers play pretty much 8 games against each other if this all happens. But that's those are my predictions for the NL playoffs.
Traden, who do you got?
It looks like in the East, obviously, I have the Braves and Marlins in the first 2 spots. Central, I have Cubs and Reds. The Dodgers or the West is already done, like you said. The wild card is tough. I think I have Cardinals and Phillies. The Giants, as of today, before this game that they're playing, had a 30% chance of making it, down from 44 after their loss last night. I'm keeping an eye on them because my family up north, and it's my girlfriend's family that I'm talking about. They're huge Giants fans. I'm keeping an eye on them. If they win tonight, maybe I could see them making it. But had they won last night, I think I would have had them in the wild card. But I just don't see it. Brewers are close, but I just don't think they'll make it.
Eric, who do you got?
Yeah, that was a mouthful of all those teams you named off. I was like fucking scrambling, looking at all these stats and everything as you're saying it. So I could 2-team ticket in the NL. Is that what you're telling me? Of all
Yes.
those fucking Marlins will be one of them, and I believe the Brewers will be the other one, because the Brewers they showed a couple years ago in that series with the Dodgers, they got guys that could play. They just got to tough it out. I think they could tough it out and get it and squeeze into a spot. I think the Marlins, I agree with James. We've counted them out all year. They're going to prove us wrong.
Yeah, I think with going back to the Marlins, as I mentioned, probably in like the season preview, I joked that'd be funny if the Marlins made the playoffs because of the shortened season, and here we are. They're currently the 6th seed in the National League, which is fucking crazy. I think I accidentally gave them a TLDR bump. I wasn't doing it on purpose, but I think it was an accident. I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Hey, how come D. Gordon didn't win the home run championship then?
Dude, I don't know. That was weird. Come on, D. Step it up. But interesting for the Marlins, they played the Braves and the Yankees to finish out the season. So that's going to be a really tough schedule for them. I think they have the toughest schedule of these 6 teams. But with that being said, I do think the Marlins will either get that second division spot or a wild card spot. And then I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Reds and the Philadelphia Phillies with those final 2 spots. But dude, it's going to come down the wire. It's going to be a crazy series, a crazy last week here. I'm going to be glued into those standings every single night. Gotta love it. I mean, that's part of the reason why I think baseball wanted to expand playoffs, is to create these type of scenarios. And with the shortened season, you got teams like the freaking Miami Marlins sitting there in a playoff spot, and even the Giants, who I think no one expected them to be competitive. Here we are, boys. 1 week left. Next week we'll know for sure who did make the postseason, and I'm really excited about it, boys. Postseason baseball is right around the corner.
Tyler, real quick, ask this question again. Glad that they have the playoff structured the way they do because of this craziness, and do you think it should continue forever?
I think you made a really good point last time we had this conversation about how, one of the biggest reasons why it'll stay is because money. The teams make money in the postseason. I think the owners are going to want it. It's hard for me because I think my biggest thing against it is that it doesn't really reward winning your division like it used to. I think that was a huge thing with baseball. And that was why winning division titles weren't just about bragging rights. It's a legitimate advantage for you. That kind of wipes this out. It really doesn't matter if you win or come in second or make the wild card. It really doesn't matter. Seeding matters, in terms of getting that first series at home. But even with this season, it doesn't matter at all because there's not going to be any fans anyway. And honestly, home field advantage with baseball, I think, has the lowest. It's like the lowest home field advantage of any sport. So it really doesn't matter too much. So I'm still on the fence about it. I'm going to feel it out. Obviously, we're going to have our first experience with it. So I'm open to it. I'm definitely excited about, this National League being the way it is, and having 6 teams battling for 4 spots, I think is super exciting. So but in terms of going forward with it long term, I'm still kind of on the fence about it. Like I said, let's play the postseason. Maybe I'll change my mind. But yeah, still on the fence about it.
Fair enough.
That's all I got for baseball.
And breaking news, we got a TLDR bump alert. I myself am giving a TLDR bump to the LA Anaheim Angels because currently they are 4 games out of a wild card spot. They are beating the Padres in the bottom of the 9th inning. They just need to fucking finish this game off. They will be 3 games. Oh, fuck. All right, this pop up. Okay. They'll be 3 games out of a wild card spot with 2 games left against the Padres and a series against the LA Dodgers. TLDR bump for the Angels. They're going to sweep the Dodgers. They're going to squeeze into that last wild card spot, and we're going to bet on this series, Tyler, as long as they beat the Padres to get there.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
So you're telling me there's a chance, and
oh, wow. Wow. I mean, that's a one hell – that needs to be like the biggest bump in history if that works out for you.
Yeah, if it really does. They have to beat the – oh, fuck. There's a guy on base for the Padres, but –
How are you so far ahead?
Dude, you guys cable.
Yeah, so that's all we got this week for baseball. It is winding down, and we will know next week all the playoffs, all the matchups and series. We'll play, baby. They already just heard my bump double play for the Angels.